am going to be doing a beginner's sequence today. So what that means is I'm going to be staying a little bit longer in each of the poses to try to explain exactly what you should be doing, how you should be, how your body should be engaged, where you should be, extending and finding flexion through each part of your body. So I'll be explaining each of the poses a little bit more in depth. And I'll be offering different variations for vinyasas and any poses with blocks. If you don't have blocks, you can use books. Maybe even, I have been known to use bookworm boxes or any subscription boxes that I get in the mail. If I don't have a block, you can always grab something so you can prop yourself up if need be. So hop on the mat with me and we will get started. Today we are going to get started in child's pose. There are a couple different variations of child's pose. You can be on your knees and your shins with your legs together, and your arms can be forward or they can be behind you. If that doesn't work for you, you can take your knees as wide as the yoga mat and you can fold forward. And you will let your forehead rest on the mat, your third eye just sinking into the mat. The intention is to bring your hips towards your heels, but no matter where you are today, that is fine. Just getting a stretch through your shoulders and the back. As you breathe into the belly, feel it expand. Feel it expand through the back. As you exhale, feel the release in your lower belly, emptying all of your breath out fully. Child's pose is a great pose to come to if you need a rest in between anything that we're doing. You can always skip a vinyasa and come to child's pose as well. Resting here, finding your breath. On our next inhale, we'll begin to rise up, and we'll plant our palms directly underneath our shoulders, gripping into the fingertips, so that takes some pressure off of our wrists. If you need to, you can always double up on the mat so you can get a little more padding underneath your wrists. From here, we are going to start to circle forward and coming back. Inhale forward. Exhale, round through. Feeling the core turn on here. Stretching through the side body. Inhale, we're going to take it the opposite direction. And exhaling round through. Breathing in through your nose and out through your nose. You can find an audible breath. It's called our Ujjayi breath. Breathing deep into the belly. Our our next inhale, we'll come forward and find flat back. We will take our knees underneath our hip points for our tabletop position. We're going to start to do a few rounds of cat-cow. Inhale, we'll drop the belly, gaze up toward the ceiling. Careful not to crunch the back of the neck, but just elongate it up enough. You can have your toes untucked or tuck them. Inhale in, exhale, round through to cat. As we exhale, bring that belly up and squeeze it in. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, round through. Inhale, drop the belly. Exhale, round through. Take a few more rounds on your own. Next, exhale, inhale back to a flat back position. We're going to untuck the toes and we're going to plant our left palm in the center of the mat, taking our right palm to the sky for an open twist to the right. Inhale in deep here. Exhale, we'll start to thread it through our left arm. Sending our left palm up. Finding we call this thread the needle. You can have your palm overhead, your left palm overhead, or you can bring it to the back of your sacrum and find a bind. On your next inhale, we'll bring the palm next to the head again, open back up to the right, and exhale, plant our right palm back on the ground. Inhale, we'll take it to the left side, opening to the right, or opening to the left side, your left arm to the sky. Exhale, we'll thread the needle. Arm up overhead, or to your sacrum, or you can find a bind. Stretching through the shoulder. Inhale, we'll start to come up and open back up. Exhale, we'll plant the palm. And we'll come up off our wrists for a little bit. You can be here if that is comfortable for you. Maybe do just a few wrist circles before we start our vinyasa. We're going to plant our palms, untuck our toes, and come back for our first down dog. And we'll pedal it out here. Our intention is that your heels meet the mat, but they don't have to. You could be here today, and that's fine. Sinking your heels as deep as you can toward the mat, spiraling those upper arm bones up toward the sky to find a little opening in your shoulders so they're not crunched next to your neck. Pedaling it out so you can stretch through those hamstrings. Gaze is through your ankles. the back. And your next inhale, begin to look forward and then step to the front of the mat. Inhale, we'll find our halfway lift. Your fingers can be on the ground, your fingers can be on your shins, or your fingers can be at your hips. It's like a figure 7. That's what we're trying for here on our halfway lift. So inhale, we'll halfway lift. Exhale, we'll fold forward. Inhale, arms come down, come up, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart. This is what we kind of call sun salutations. So when we say moving through a round of sun salutations, this is what we'll be doing. Arms come down to come up. Inhale up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, find your halfway lift. Exhale, plant the palms, and we're going to step back to plank or half plank. And we will lower all the way to the belly. Untuck our toes and really press into the tops of your feet. We'll bring our hands to our upper ribs. Inhale for cobra. Exhale, down. Inhale, back up to plank or half plank. Exhale, we'll come back to downward facing dog. That is one option for vinyasas. If at any time you don't feel like you can move through a vinyasa, you can just meet us right in downward dog, or you can come to child's pose for a rest. And then meet us in down dog. Inhale, we'll lift the right leg up high. Exhale, we'll step it through your hands. Now, if it comes to here, you can't get it through, just move your foot up. We're going to lower the back knee, untuck the toes, front knee is over front ankle, and we'll rise up to a low lunge, Anjaneyasana. Knitting our upper ribs down, careful not to come forward. Knitting our upper ribs down, front knee is over front ankle, getting a nice stretch through our hips. Really pressing into that back foot for stability. Gaze is forward, maybe slightly raised. Opening your heart. Inhale in here. Exhale, we'll start to plant our palms. Maybe we'll use our blocks if we can't get down low enough. We'll start to straighten through the front leg. And maybe we move the heel up just a little bit. We're going to keep our hips square. And we'll start to exhale and fold forward. Those toes should be pointed up to your face or back towards your shin. Inhaling, we're going to find extension through our back. Careful not to crunch and round. We'll find extension and then fold forward. Each time you inhale, finding a little more extension. Really pushing through your hips to keep them square. Not dumping over into your left hip, but staying straight here. Inhale, we'll start to push through and come up. We can keep our back leg lifted, or keep our back leg down, or we can lift it up and open up for a dragonfly twist to the right. You can always lower that back knee if that feels better to you. Gaze is up toward the ceiling if that's okay with your neck. Inhaling in here, and then exhale, plant both palms. Step back to plank or half plank. way to your belly. Untuck your toes. Inhale, cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, plank or half plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Pedal it out here. Doing great. Inhale, right leg to the sky. Exhale, step it on, or left leg up to the sky, sorry. I don't know my rights and lefts very well sometimes. Exhale, we're going to step it on through. Lower the right leg, untuck the back toes, and we'll rise up for a low lunge on the left side. Knitting our upper ribs down. You can see when I do that, instead of rounding through the back here, I'm knitting my ribs down, and that engages my core. You can feel it in my low belly, my upper belly. It's really turning my core on here. Sinking into that front knee. Front knee is over front ankle, opening up through the hips, pressing into your right top of your foot for stability. Next inhale, we'll come up. Exhale. We will inch our heel forward any amount that feels good. Finding extension and starting to fold forward on our exhale. Maybe using blocks, maybe bringing hands to the mat. Careful not to crunch, but find extension here. Your next inhale, begin to come up through that foot. Look, keep your back leg lowered or lifted. Press in through the right palm and open up for dragonfly twist to the left. Gaze is up towards your fingertips, really pressing into that back foot for stability. One more inhale, exhale, we'll plant the palms and find your vinyasa, or you can move through child's pose, lowering all the way to the belly, untucking the toes, coming up for cobra, exhaling down. Inhale, plank or half plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. You can always take a rest in child's pose if you need to. Inhale, the left leg up high. Exhale, we're going to step it through. And we're going to pivot on the back foot for a warrior one. Now, warrior one, your hips are facing forward. It is a neutral pelvis here. So if you need to, you can always widen your stance to try to get your pelvis as neutral to the front of the mat as you can. Your toes are going to be facing the upper right edge, your back toes are going to be facing the upper right edge of the mat. Front toes are facing forward. Front knee is over front ankle. We're going to, a lot of people will say tuck your tailbone. But when you tuck your tailbone, it feels a little funky. And that engages your Uddiyana Bandha, your lower abs, your lower core here. But if you just knit your ribs, your top of your ribs down here, you'll see that it does the same thing. And it takes a little bit of pressure off your back. So we're going to inhale in here for warrior one. Front knee is over front ankle. You can see the first two toes of your left foot, really pressing into the back edge of your right foot. Arms up overhead. You got this. We'll inhale in here, exhale, we're going to start to straighten through the right leg, or the left leg. The right leg's already straight. So if you need to, you can always inch your back foot up a bit, but we'll start to fold forward for a pyramid pose. Now you might want blocks for this one as well. Finding your extension here in an inhale and exhale, folding forward, really stretching through that left hamstring. We'll move our blocks. Inhale, come maybe step a little bit back for your warrior one, or you can stay with your stance a little bit closer together if that feels good for you. Inhale back to warrior one. Inhale in, exhale. Bring your hands behind you and interlace your fingers. Then we're going to start to come forward for a humble warrior. Really pressing into those feet for stability. You might just be here today, and that's good. Your legs are probably turned on. They're probably shaking right now. You might even start to come forward, bringing the crown toward the mat. Now make sure you're not dumping your weight into your shoulders and hyperextending them, but keeping them nice and long down the back. Breathing deep through your nose. Inhale in, break free. Rise up to warrior one. And exhale, plant the palms, pivot on the back foot. Step back to plank or half plank and lower all the way to the belly. Untuck the toes. Inhale, find cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, plank or half plank. Exhale, downward dog. Pedal it out. Inhale, our right leg raises. Exhale, step it through. Pivot on the back foot. We'll rise up for warrior one on the right side. Adjust your stance. Front knee is over front ankle. Knitting those upper ribs down, engaging your core. Widen your stance if you need to. Inhale in here. We'll drop our hands to our waist and start to fold forward again for pyramid pose. Bringing our blocks if necessary. Each inhale, find extension. And exhale, fold forward. On an inhale, we will bend into the front leg, rise back up to warrior one. Careful not to grip through the toes, but pressing into all four corners of your front foot. Inhale in here. Exhale, we'll interlace the fingers behind and find humble warrior on this side. Now we're going to actually interlace the fingers a little bit like with your opposite thumb on top. The one that feels a little funky this time. Fold forward, maybe you're right here. Or maybe you come down with the crown towards the mat. Careful not to rest too much on your right leg. deep in through your nose and out through your nose. Inhale, break free. Rise up for warrior one. Exhale, plant the palms, pivot on the back foot, step back to plank or half plank, and we will lower all the way to the belly. Untuck the toes, inhale, cobra, exhale, lower. What we're going to do now is we're going to push back into a child's pose, take a little bit of a rest. Just for a few breaths, finding our center, catching our breath. On your next inhale, come forward, untuck the toes, and we'll find our down dog again. Pedal it out here. Inhale, left leg raises. Exhale, we'll step it through. Pivot on the back foot. Front knee is over front ankle. And we will open up for warrior two. Now warrior two, we are externally rotated here. So that means that our pelvis is facing the right side of the mat. Our gaze is over our left fingertips. Ribs are knitted down, engaging our core. We're pressing into the knife edge of our back foot for stability. Settle in here. Inhale, we'll flip our left palm, bring our right palm to our back leg, and reverse our warrior. Gaze can be up towards your fingertips if that feels good, or they can be straight ahead, or you could even be gazing down at your right fingertips. On your next inhale, we'll come forward for extended side angle. And you might want to rotate your arm up and through, because that feels better on the shoulder sometimes, and try to move it right here. We're rotating it around so you can find a nice straight line of energy from the fingertips to the tips of the toes. Careful not to dump into this left arm, but just rest it right on your left thigh. Inhaling in here. Exhale, we'll reverse our warrior one more time. Inhale, exhale, we'll cartwheel down. Plant our palms. Pivot on the back foot, step back to plank or half plank, and we'll lower to the belly. Inhale, rise up to cobra. Exhale, lower. Inhale, plank or half plank. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, the right leg raises. Exhale, step it through. Pivot on the back foot. Open up for warrior two. Pelvis is facing the left side of the mat. Fingertips are straight ahead of you and behind you. Gaze is over your front fingertips. Inhale, we'll flip the palm. Reverse our warrior. Gaze is over the top of your fingertips or lower. front knees over front ankle, sinking in. Inhale, we'll start to open up for extended side angle on this side. Remembering not to dump our weight into our right arm, but just setting it on our right thigh. Fingertips are straight. One nice long line here. Inhale, reverse our warrior one more time. Make sure your legs are nice and turned on here. Anytime you need a break, meet us in child's pose. Inhale, we'll start to cartwheel our hands back up or back down. Step back to plank or half plank. And find your vinyasa or no vinyasa. And just child's pose. Plank or half plank. Exhale, down dog. Inhale, we'll look to the top of the mat. Exhale, hop or step to the top. Inhale, we'll find our halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up to standing. Exhale, hands to heart. Now we're going to come to a chair pose. So, what that means is we're going to sink into our back, the back of our heels. Your weight should not be in the front of your feet. You shouldn't be gripping through the toes. It should be in the back of your heels, and we'll start to sink low. You can even lift your toes if that feels good. Keeping our back nice and straight, and not careful not to dump over. Keeping our back nice and straight, and really bring the weight into our heels here. Your arms can be up overhead. That feels good. If not, it's perfectly fine to keep them at hands or your heart center right now. Inhale one more time. Exhale, we'll fold forward and let it all go. You can bend your knees as generously as you need. Maybe ragdoll. Oh, gripping opposite elbows. Inhale, we'll halfway lift. Exhale, fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to heart. Now we're going to start, we're going to come to a tree pose. So, you can grab a chair for this if you don't have a wall next to you or near you. You can be by the wall for stability, or you can practice with your foot still on the ground. Either way, find what makes you feel comfortable, okay? So, bring your hands to your hips or heart center. And we're going to bring all of our weight into our left foot right now. Start maybe pointing your right toe, maybe bringing it to your left shin here. Whatever you do, make sure you're pressing with your right foot into your left leg, but pressing back with your left leg. That's why we never want to go onto our knee. Making sure we don't do anything on our knee, because if we do that, we have a chance of really hurting our knee. You can also bring your right leg up, or your right leg up to your thigh of your left leg, pressing back in with that left leg and pressing with the right foot. That will help maintain stability. You can always come to the wall if you need. Practicing here for stability. Arms can be up overhead, at your heart center, or they can stay at your hips. Pressing into all four corners of the feet. Don't grip through the toes. Engaging your core. If you fall, don't worry. I fall all the time. I'll probably fall today. Inhaling one more time. Exhale. Let it all go. Yeah. I'm feeling it in my legs. Feeling my legs today. All right, we're going to start to bring our weight into our right foot. And this might feel completely different than your left foot. So just make sure that you embrace where you are today. Tomorrow you might be able to balance on and find all the balance. But today you're just having an off day. So don't worry about it. I definitely have those days. We'll come into our tree pose on our right side, bring our left leg up or to our shin or just our toes to the ground. Just the intention of a tree. Hands at our hips, hands at heart center, or maybe your branches are up overhead. Breathing deep, maybe you start to sway a little bit. Maybe if this is easy for you, I don't know, maybe you start to bring your gaze up. Really knitting those ribs down, engaging that core for your stability. Pressing that left foot into the right thigh and pressing that left foot back with your right thigh. Inhale in here and exhale. Let it all go and shake those legs out. Guys, you're doing so great. Thank you for sticking through this with me. I know this is probably not super easy, but trying to get everybody to learn at least a little bit and learn the basics of a lot of the main poses that we do. So we're going to come on through to a seat. Now I'm going to step to the top of the mat if you are not already there. And we're just going to come down to a seat with our feet on the mat. Now I'm going to take my hands behind my thighs and just start rolling down one vertebrae at a time until my back is flush with the mat. Bringing my feet as close to my glutes as I can, my heels. So maybe you can even touch your heels here. We're going to set up for a bridge pose. Now, we don't want our legs splaying out like this. We want our legs nice and tight and not touching, but the intention is to engage your glutes. So each time you'll press up, you'll press your hands into the mat, you'll press up on an inhale, engage those glutes, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze up. And it's like you can even have a block or a book between your legs if you need to, just to emulate that intention of squeezing something. Just don't let that block fall. Inhale up, exhale, we'll lower. Inhale up, squeeze those legs together. Exhale, lower. Inhale up, exhale, lower. Inhale up, exhale, lower. One more time. Inhale up, exhale, lower. Now we're going to remove the block if you used it. And we're going to come to a figure 4 stretch. So you'll take your legs and bring them, your shins maybe parallel with the ceiling here. Now, tuck your shoulder blades underneath you so it's a little more comfortable. Just take your shoulder blades and just snuggle them up here underneath your heart space. We're going to take our right leg up long, and you can even have your legs on the ground here. It might be easier if you need to. Your left toe's on the ground. Right leg is over your left. Ankle is on your thigh. Now you might be okay here, or maybe you can start lifting that leg, taking your hands, interlacing them behind the left leg. Maybe you can even bring your right elbow to your right knee, and you're going to start pressing that right knee away gently. This will give you a nice stretch in your hip. Your right hip should be turned on here. The closer you bring your left leg, the more intense the stretch will be in your left or your right hip. Maybe even sway side to side. This is a great stretch if you have sciatic pain. Breathing deep. Then we'll start to unravel. You can bring your legs back to the ground to switch, or you can switch in midair. Bring your hands interlaced behind your right thigh. Feet are active. Pulling your right leg toward your body. Gently pressing your left knee away with your left elbow, if that feels comfortable to you. Maybe sway just a little bit. You'll feel an extra little stretch when you do it, but just very gently. All right, now we're going to start to unravel. We're going to start bringing our hands to the outsides of our feet. And this is another nice hip opener. It's called Happy Baby. So you might be here. If you can't, maybe you can even go to the inside of your feet if that feels better to you. Or if you can get to the outside, that's great. Bringing our tailbone and trying to shine it toward the front of the mat. Making sure we're not back here, but shining our tailbone toward the front of the mat. If you want a deeper stretch for your hips, you can push your hands away with your feet and then pull your feet back down, creating that tension there with your hands. You can definitely feel a stretch, or I can. Hopefully you can too, in your hips there. Inhale in one more time, and exhale. We'll break free and we'll start to hug our knees into our chest. Maybe roll on our back a little bit. Maybe we lift our nose to our knees, giving ourselves a big hug. On our next exhale, we'll start to take our left leg long, hug our right knee into our chest, and then we'll start to twist to the left, finding a supine twist on our back. Right leg is over top of to our left side, arms are out at a T, and our gaze is over our right palm. So we're looking the opposite direction that our leg is for a nice stretch. On our next inhale, we'll start to come back. Hug our right knee in one more time, and then we'll switch, sending our right leg long, hugging our left knee in. On our exhale, we'll twist to the right. If you need to move your hips over in space, if that feels better, go ahead and do that. Arms out at a T, or you can put them up as little cactuses, goalposts, and turn your gaze over your left palm relaxing here. On your next inhale, we'll start to bring that knee back up. Hug, hug, hug. Stretching that hip. On your exhale, we'll come long for our Shavasana. Shavasana is our final pose. It's called a corpse pose. A lot of people don't like that verbiage, so I just say find your Shavasana, whatever feels good. If you don't feel good on your back, and if this is painful, you can always use a pillow, or you can always roll a blanket up and you can put it underneath your back right here. Just tuck your shoulder blades underneath your heart space and let your toes fall open to the side. Hands and palms are toward the sky. Relaxing through the face and the eyes. Maybe a few swallows before we start to really relax here. Maybe you let the tongue fall away from the top of the mouth. Relaxing through the throat and the shoulders and the arms and the fingertips. Relaxing through the chest and your stomach and your pelvis. Relaxing your legs and your feet. Sinking into the mat. We'll start to invite movement into our fingers and our toes. We'll start to roll over to our right or our left side, whichever feels more comfortable to you. Resting here. Deepening our breath. Planting our left palm. Starting to push back up to a seated position. trusting me to teach you a little bit of yoga, and for joining me on the mat and really just supporting me in any way that you have. Everybody has been so amazing, wanting to learn and just supporting me in my practice, and I feel so honored that the people that haven't done yoga now want to learn because they want to support me, and so this practice is for you. So I hope you enjoy. Hands at Heart Center. Thank you very much for everything. I love you all. Namaste.